watching Thrifty Kaniffy.
Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we're going to be taking a look and doing a cleanup video. At least I'm going to try. I think I might have gotten in a little over my head on this one. So I saw this knife on eBay. This is an Imperial Frontier model, 4221. And I saw that, the scales looked white. I thought, well, maybe there was just some wall paint on them, and maybe it just needed to be removed, some latex paint or something. But then I got them in hand, and I see that, no, that is not the case. We have some super dehydrated handles here. Almost like these have seen bleach or something to that effect. I'm not exactly sure. But they're very dried out, and you can see they are darn near white. Now, I can show you a model. This is what they're supposed to look like, okay? So this is what the model is supposed to look like, and this is what we have. So I don't think I'm necessarily going to get this ever looking new again, but we're going to try to do what we can. I think I'm going to try to put some mineral oil on here, maybe saturate those handles, and maybe try to bring a little bit of the color back into them. Maybe polish them, maybe buff them, do whatever I can, but I don't think it's ever going to be, what they used to be. This is not going to get brought back to the full sheen that I had hoped for. Now you can also see that the handle is coming up a little bit here. There's ways to fix that, so I'm not too concerned about that. We can put some epoxy in there and then try to squeeze that shut and let it dry. But as far as the handles go, I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to get a whole lot better. They're just in really rough shape. Now let's take a look at the mechanicals. Don't worry about the cosmetics so much, but got some semi-smooth action there, but you can see this is basically a manual shut. I mean, there is no spring left in the blade to get it shut. So we're going to see what cleaning that will do. Maybe it'll bring back a little something. This blade a little better, but again, you can see it kind of just, there's no real snap there. So we're going to oil it up. We're going to try to moisturize the handles. We're going to try to get the rust out of the cavity. The blades aren't too bad. It doesn't look like they were really used all that much. Looked like most of the metal was there, and that was kind of why I decided to take a chance with this one. You can see they're rather dirty, but there's some real crud on the back of there. There's the model number there, 4221. So these were made by Camillus, if you're not familiar. I'm going to be doing a video on these eventually that gets into a lot more detail with these Frontier knives. But they're made by Imperial. Well, they're Imperial branded, but they're made by Camillus. So we can probably siphon that back into the bottle if necessary. But we're going to use that so we can dip that and completely submerge it. Let's get these blades opened up. Now, the only thing I've done is I kind of color tested the blades with some alcohol. I just kind of put a little bit on a rag and touched it to the handles. And it kind of did what this is doing here. It'll like turn brown, but as soon as the alcohol evaporates, it just turns right back to that pasty white color. But we're going to try to see if we can get the handles to come back in any meaningful way with just a soak. And it looks like I'm probably going to have to kind of, I don't know, maybe scrub it with a brush at the same time. I don't know. But my hands are going to be a mess. So let me grab some towels, and I'll be right back. We're just going to kind of scrub that a little bit. I don't know if maybe that would help, because it seemed like when I was working that in, it did have a little bit of an effect. So let's just get a toothbrush out and try this out. My hands are just going to be a mess. I'm just going to have to live with that, I guess. Let's try to get at least one of them clean. All right, so let's just dip that in there. I don't know. Interesting. No, it doesn't really want to come clean on the ends there, where it was sort of smooth. Seems to be working better where the jigging is on this one. But what a mess this is going to be. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to kind of leave it like that. Man, it's just so dry. Weird. I really don't know how that ever would have happened. Okay, so here's the other side. I haven't done anything to it other than just kind of let it soak a little bit. But you can see the color's kind of trying to come back. So we're just going to leave it in there for a minute or two. And then I'll come back and kind of start working the blades, cleaning out the cavity, all that sort of more mechanical stuff. And see how much action we're going to get out of this thing. But we're just going to let that soak, I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes, and I'll come back. Okay, so that's been soaking a little bit there, maybe about 8 minutes or so. And I've worked the blades one time, just trying to get the pivot where it's got all the mineral oil in there. But got to say, I don't think that those edges are really coming back. I don't know if I can scrape on them a little bit. It doesn't seem to help. It just doesn't seem like they're going to get any difference in color there. And you can see only slightly more brown than it should, it was before. A little more brown on that side. But definitely not as dark as the new one. New old stock one. But yeah, these blades starting to feel a lot smoother there. Let's see if we got any. Yeah, a little bit of snap now on that one. That one's still pretty darn weak, so I'm not sure that one's ever going to come back. And we'll just keep working that blade a little bit. Might just be a lost cause. This might just be a drawer knife, old junk drawer knife. Just too far gone sometimes. It's got a lot better snap in the open position, but it does not want to snap closed. So we're going to keep working on that. I might actually try some super lube in the joint, try to clean out any rust that might be in there. Has a tendency to want to grab the tang when it's in the pivot, when it's rusty like that. I don't feel grit, but I do feel like resistance, if that makes sense. Like it should be smoother than that. So there's this potential that it could get a little better, but I'm not really expecting a whole lot. But we'll just keep working on it, and I'll just kind of come back and update you occasionally when I've gotten any kind of improvement or made any changes to what I'm doing. But I need to get this oil out of my way. It's just going to make a massive mess. You can see the back springs look about the same. The color on the back there, still kind of white. I don't know if there's anything I can do about it. I mean, just kind of scraping it, you think would maybe kind of open up the pores of it to allow some oil to seep in there, but nah, it's really just not coming back full-fledged by any means. I mean, there's one spot here, kind of dark, but overall, yep, just looks like this one might have had its day. Okay, so I'll be back, and then I'll let you know what I've done. Okay, so I'm back. About the only thing I did was just wipe all the mineral oil off. I just wanted to get all the nasty oil off of there so that I could actually handle the knife. So 90% of it's off, let's say. So there's a little bit left, but you can see how this secondary blade has improved. We've got quite a good snap on that now. And that's just from cleaning out the channel. You can see what's come out. It's just the dirt that I collected there on those two swabs. But we'll continue to wipe it down a little bit more. Get all the remaining oil out of there. Going to use a new clean one. But just trying to get all the oil out of there. It's done what it's going to do. So we just need to try to remove what rust is in the channel that it loosened up and just kind of rub that out as best we can. There's still a little bit of grit in that main blade, so it's not wanting to close. I'm going to try to rectify that with the super lube, and I'm going to show you how I do that. But, okay, so let's go ahead and close the secondary blade. We're going to keep that about 3/4 of the way open. And then we're going to get a new swab, a completely fresh application. So we're going to just kind of let that ride into the pivot, and I'm going to do it on the other one too while I'm in there. So I'm kind of applying that rather liberally. I don't know if you can see that picking that up, but there was quite a bit on there. All right, I'm just going to kind of throw that off the side. Not going to need that anymore. And we're just going to work this blade, because what that super lube does a really good job of is picking up grit. It does a good job of putting it up on the tang, and then I can wipe it off. Mineral oil does a decent job of that, but doesn't seem to remove the gritty stuff as well, because it's just too thin. And then you put a thick lube in there, and it will do a much easier job of just picking it up. We're just going to work that back and forth. I don't think it's going to be recoverable as far as spring goes. I'm just not feeling it. It's still way off from where it needs to be. So this just may be one of those knives where you just never get the spring back. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's better than it was, but you can see it's really just not closing. But we'll wipe it off. Let's go ahead and clean this up. I'll wipe the tang, do the best we can. I mean, it's a little disappointing, but, you know, I paid more for shipping than I did the knife. Let's just put it that way. So I'm not invested in this. It's just, it was a project that I wanted to show you guys and see if I could bring this back. And I thought it was going to be removing paint, and didn't turn out that that's what the problem was. Of course, you don't ever know how good the action is going to be on a used knife unless they just absolutely tell you. So that's always a guessing game. But I'm thinking if I get the proper lubrication in there, it might be just barely able to close itself. But right now I can just feel tension. Like, it's almost like there's something stuck in the pivot, like maybe some thread or something like that. I don't know if you guys have ever had to deal with that before, but it almost feels like there's lint or something in there that you're going to have a hell of a time getting out, because it just doesn't have the right feel to it. But you can see it's just trying to get a little better. Yeah, didn't want to close that time. So it's kind of inconsistent too on the close. But yeah, I can maybe even hear that. Just a little bit of grit in there. I don't know what it is. But we'll keep working on that, and then I'll come back and update you guys on what I did. Okay, so we're back now, and I've probably spent like 25 minutes just cleaning the pivot over and over and over again. And now we've probably got it as far as it's going to get. And you get just a touch of snap there on the main blade now. So that's actually better than I expected. And then the secondary blade, quite good. You can hear that snap into both the full open and the closed position. A little weak, but it does close on its own now. No more having to manually close it, basically. And yeah, the handles, they've pretty much stayed the same. Haven't really gotten much lighter, I don't think, with the mineral oil absorbed in there. But we're going to try to polish it now. and see how far we can take that. You can see all the cleaning that I did here with these swabs. We're going to get that out of the way. And I will say I used ballistol, and then I used some KPL to get it where it is now. So a little ballistol, cleaning some more, and then finish that up with a little KPL in the joint. So just a tiny bit of snap there, but definitely better than it was. I'm just going to give this a quick squirt of like window cleaner, trying to get all the oils and things off of the outside, just so that I don't have to contend with oil all over my fingers as I'm trying to polish and clean and things. So there's a little bit of crud just on the main blade, and most of it's come off just in my attempt to clean the pivot, just moving the oil out for there. But there is still a little bit of crud on there, but I'm not too worried about that. I think I can pretty much just scrub that off with, you know, basic towel with a little bit of cleaner on it. I don't think it's going to require that I use anything abrasive on the blade. We're just going to scrub it really hard to get off the stuck on gunk. I think that should probably do what I need it to do. You just got some natural patina there. Of course, these are carbon steel blades, if you didn't already know. This thing's from like the 70's. And yeah, that's what they used. So carbon steel blades, they will get the pitting, they will get the patina. We're just going to do a light brushing of it. Just kind of get the gunk off. Not really worried about any pitting or surface rust or anything like that. Looks pretty decent. May have to attack that nail nick a little bit later, but yeah, it's a little rough. There's a little bit of corrosion down in the pivot, or excuse me, the nail nick. So one way I like to clean those, I'll just quickly show that since I just brought it up. Let's use this toothpick. And you might want to brace the blade with something. Let's put a little dowel rod underneath it. Kind of keep it flat. And that's something that would benefit from a little more soaking of the mineral oil. But yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. I will have to come back to that eventually. But we'll polish this to see if I can get any of that white off of there. Maybe kind of bring back some of the natural color. You can see how the shield's pretty dingy too, and the bolsters aren't exactly mirror bright. Here's what I'm going to use first. It's more of abrasive, a little more abrasive than the Flitz is. But all you do, I just put it on the cloth itself and just rub vigorously. Let's see if we can bring any color back to that white area. I don't think we can. I think it's pretty much gone. But we'll see. We can definitely clean up the shield. I know that'll come back pretty good. I'm going to focus kind of right on that little white spot for now. Maybe get it a little bit more here. Put it right on there. Kind of rub it in there and let it soak for a sec. Same with this other side. And it'll penetrate it a little bit. Attack it. Really attack it. When I say vigorously, I mean vigorously. One thing I hate about this Haverty's is it stinks. Not a good, pleasant scent. Don't have that problem with the flits, but again, I think this is a little more aggressive, so for this kind of a tougher job, seemed like I'm making a little bit of progress there on that side. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'll just kind of look at it before now, as I don't really remember just how white it was, but looks like it's browner to me. Okay, so gets to the point my arm even gets tired. I scrub so hard. There's a little more white on the corners here. And of course those brass liners will polish up nicely. This back spring will polish up fairly decently as well. Yeah, that's definitely making a difference on the white areas. This was just like super white. Now you can kind of tell it's a little bit brown. So we're going to keep on working on that. I think I'm making a difference. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be, long going. It's not going to just change in a few minutes. So this is going to require more scrubbing than you would normally need. So for that reason, I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch all of that, but we'll come back after I've completed this side and just see kind of where we're at. All right, so here we are about 10 minutes later. You can see kind of my progress here. Still got those white areas on this side that seems to be more stubborn right in that corner. These two corners starting to come around a little bit, but that one in particular seems to be worn down or something, and it's not wanting to turn brown. So I might have to be a little more aggressive right there. See if I can maybe even use some sort of permanent marker maybe to make it a little browner. I don't know. Just kind of toying with that idea. But you can see the shield quite a bit brighter now. That looks a lot better. The bolsters look better. Now I've only used the Haverty's, and I've not done that side yet. And I've done a little bit of the back. I haven't finished that either. You can see there's a lot of gunk still in there I got to wipe off. But we're getting there. This side, you can see I've done that a little more than this side. So that white is starting to disappear. But I'm going to keep on working on it, and I'll come back. Okay, so we're back, and I've just finished up my buffing off of the Haverty's. And now you can kind of tell just those smooth areas, they don't really shine up. And you can see it's all the way through on that side. So they're kind of chipped a little bit because they're kind of rough. You can see here's a little chip there. So yeah, I'll just try a couple of different things. I think I'm just going to maybe try to darken that with some magic marker or some kind of, something that will dye it a little bit. And I still need to glue that down. That still needs to be done. But you can see the polishing on the bolsters looks good. And I'm going to hit the handles, I think, with the mechanical buffer just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. And then once I'm done with that, I'll hit it again with the flits by hand, and we'll see where we're at. So on to the buffer next, and then I'll come back after that and see where we're at. Okay, so we are back. I have abandoned the idea of trying to buff this with the mechanical wheel. With the jigging there, it just started filling in this and making a mess, just kind of getting stuck in all all the compound was just getting stuck into the jigging and making a mess, not really doing the job. So I just finished polishing it with the flits. And I just finished that up and buffed it up. So this is where we are with the polishing work. And now I just need to work on the handles a bit. I think what I'm going to end up doing, not going to use the magic marker quite yet. We're going to try something else first. I've got this dye. It's called sandstone color, this RIT dye. So we're going to try that. I don't know if the color is going to be accurate enough. I think, you know, if it can dye these just a little darker, that'll be an improvement, even if it does nothing, basically, to the handles themselves. But they're just sort of a matte finish. Again, you can kind of tell, you know, where we started. This is basically a brand new one here on the bottom. And this is where we're at on the top. So quite a bit different. But I would say much an improvement over where we started, right? Quite a bit more color in there than it was. It's pretty much just white. And so, yeah, we're going to give that a shot. Then I'm going to come back after I give this a dye job. And we'll see if it made any improvement. All right. Okay, guys, back again. So after I attempted to dye it, didn't really see much of a change. I think in large part because I wasn't really able to leave it in the water and the dye that long because of the fact that, you know, we got carbon steel blades here. So we don't exactly want to be leaving that in salty water for very long. So I'm going to attempt to swab this with the dye direct from the bottle and see if we can't make any headway on some of these little edges here. So this dye is straight on to that. I'm just going to kind of rub it on there where it seems it would need it most. I don't know. Kind of at my wit's end with the color. It just doesn't want to absorb any of it. So I don't know how much of a change we can really make. But we'll give it a shot one more time. Just kind of direct contact with the most concentrated of the dye rather than diluting it and put it in water and all that. See if we can have any effect on it. I'm just going to dip it back in there a second time, get another load of it. Yeah, just did not want to leave that in the water very long. Not real wise when you got carbon steel blades. So I kind of limited it to like 15 minutes, and that was about all I was willing to do it. Didn't seem to make much difference, really. Once I'd washed it off, it all seemed to kind of just come off. So this may have had it. This may have just be all we can do here. I mean, it might be just a magic marker, basic stuff to try to darken it. We're going to let that sit on there, and then I'm going to do the other side. I'll come back and see if maybe it absorbed any of it. All right. Okay, guys, so now it is the following day. I've actually done all I'm going to do to the knife at this point. I'll kind of just fill you in where I've left off here. So when I left last time, I had dyed the knife and swabbed it and just kind of see what I could get to change on it. And it did help a little bit, I think. You can see that those edges are kind of tan in color now. I don't know that it did too much to the body of here where it's jigged. You can see on the other side, it just seems to be a little less damaged. So it's a little darker on this side overall. But again, it's not anywhere close to, you know, like a new knife. But it's not bad. I mean, for where it started, I'd say it's not too bad. I'm probably my own harshest critic when it comes to this kind of stuff. So you guys probably are not as, you know, unimpressed as I am. I don't know, maybe you aren't. Maybe you think I did a horrible job, but you can see that these edges are chipped and it's sort of damaged in those areas just from drying out and kind of flaking off a little bit. So just putting some moisture in back into the scales, I think, was important. But after the dye, I gave it some Howard's Feed and Wax, which is just this stuff here. And you can see it has orange oil in it. And it's just moisturizing the scales. It's just trying to get, you know, some oils back into the plastics. And between that and the dye, I feel like that did a decent job. As far as the mechanicals go, you know, we have quite a bit more snap in this blade. I think that wasn't even closing in the beginning, and now it is. So that's fantastic. The main blade now closes on its own. You know, not a thunderous snap there by any means, but it is able to do its own work there at the walk and talk. We got some pretty good bright liners and springs now. I think it looks pretty decent. So, you know, pretty impressed with that. I was pretty dingy looking whenever I got that. The shield's nice and clean. You know, still a little bit lighter around the shield. Maybe like that's sat in the sun or something, and that area got hotter than the rest because of the metal, if that makes sense. But I've also epoxied the handle back together. And you can see, you know, it's not gapping out, sticking out on the side anymore. It's actually bonded to the scale. And I'll show you what I use for that. I just have this epoxy that I frequently use called Bob Smith Industries Quick Cure. And it's just a two-part process. You mix the hardener with the epoxy and blend it together, and then it's supposed to bond in like an hour or something like that. I think that's a bunch of baloney. I leave it always at least 24 hours to harden, because a lot of times what I'll do is once I've mixed the epoxy, I'll have like a little area where I've mixed it on a piece of cardboard or something, and I'll just kind of feel how hard the area where I mixed the epoxy was, not on the bond, but on the just the blank area where I've got the waste, right? And you can feel like how hard the epoxy is. And if that's still sticky, then I know that the bond on where I've got it is gonna be at least as bad or worse. So I've just put a clamp on there, you know, wherever it was, and clamped it on there, and I just left that for about a day. So yeah, that all looks like it's been taken care of there. So we've got a user of a knife, you know, taking something that no one would want to carry to something I could see somebody carrying every day. So that's going to do it for me, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the cleanup. I know I had a lot of fun doing it. This is just a wonderful series of knives, these Frontier series knives. Like I said in the earlier part of the video, I'm going to be doing a complete review of the series. Tried to accumulate quite a number of these, and I think I'll have a good video to give you guys, present you guys with this Frontier series at some point. Yeah, this was just a fun project that I wanted to provide you guys because I haven't done one in quite a while, and I think it turned out all right. But I'm going to throw up some before and after photos to kind of give you an idea of just how much improvement there was. It's always the easiest way to tell. So stick around for the slideshow. But for me, that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.